appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us. Small bit of background. I volunteer with Rajiv Verma ji. He is based in Houston. I'm in Pennsylvania. We got connected. He has shown keen interest in the veterans community, and he reached out to me. It's been quite many months of relationship that I share with him, and his intent, where what he's trying to do is trying to build a community, which we already are as veterans, we already are, but trying to build a community where he's trying to get the leadership involved, and he wants to connect each one of us. Let us share, provide us a platform where we can share our thoughts, where we can talk about the issues of importance. The last time he had asked me to host a session on Subhash Chandra Bose, and that was through different eminent authors he had invited. He's very well connected. And today, after the unfortunate demise of the heroes and the lady that had happened in the case of the chopper crash, he requested that I reach out to the senior officers, and then this session is happening. With that background, for those who are joining us otherwise, a quick background to the esteemed panelists that we have here. We have General Shashikant Pitre, and he was an engineer officer and joined Army in the year 1962, and he's taken part in 65 and 71 wars. In addition, he was also part of IPKF, or the Indian Peacekeeping Force, in Sri Lanka during 87 until 90. He's also commanded an infantry brigade and has been a counterinsurgency expert with his experience in Manipur, and also has been Chief of Staff of the Army Training Command. So very well accomplished. We have a senior gentleman officer with us. And he is also an author. He writes on military matters, and he's a known speaker and TV panelist as well. And his command over various subjects includes not limited to Kashmir, Sri Lanka, Indochina 1962 war, and also has written about Admiral Bhaskar Soman and General Thorat's biographies. So he has many more accomplishments, but in the interest of time, I'm limiting it to only a few. But nonetheless, he is definitely one of our esteemed panelists and the guest of honor here. And then I'm simply going in the series that I have written down here with the, excuse me for the seniority if I'm missing out. But then the second one that I have is Brigadier Hemant Mahajan. And he is 1973 commissioned, and he was a Maratha Light officer, or Maratha Light Infantry officer for those uninitiated into the Army lingo. Counterinsurgency expert and counter-terrorist expert, has served in Punjab, Northeast, and he has also commanded 7 Maratha Light Infantry battalion. He has been very, very influential in Op Rakshak, which is one of our operations that has been going on in the Jammu and Kashmir, and he was a brigade commander there, and he's commanded. He was also, we in the military take pride in saying that the officers who are also trainers have accomplished very well in their courses and also in trainings, and he has been a DS, which is a directing staff in higher command in the Army War College. And in addition to his accolade, I would call it, he has been awarded Yudh Seva Medal, and in addition, he is also an accomplished author. In fact, he's written more than 4,000 articles in the last 12 years since the time he's retired. Again, cutting it short, the accomplishments for these veterans that we have today are much more than what I'm able to list out. And then I have General Vikram Singh. I'm going to, so just a moment, I'm also pulling up your details here. And then we have the General Vikram Singh, out of many accomplishments, comes across as the Sword of Honor, the best all-round gentleman cadet right from his academy days. And he was commissioned in the year 1987. And as he has also just now indicated, he joined his own father's unit, and which is also called as the Desert Specialist Warriors. He is also an accomplished instructor in the Army. He's taught in the MCTE, or the Military College of Telecommunications, and General Warfare School, Infantry School, to name a few. And he's also commanded a DIV, and also been responsible for the training of officers. Again, a shortened version of the accomplishments that we have from the officers here. With that, thank you so much, sirs. Appreciate it. In the order of seniority, we are beginning. So I would begin with Shashi sir here, and would request your, in fact, even before we begin, I'll just take a minute of silence in honor of the warriors that we have lost, and then we begin this discussion today. Thank you, sir, and thank you, listeners, and who are present right now and who will be listening to this session. So with that, sir, I'll go over to Shashi sir, and would request his opening comment on the tragedy that has befallen the forces, especially Army. With we have lost the CDS coming in from the Army. What do you make an initial comment about in terms of the impact that it has on the forces, in terms of the impact on the tri-services coordination, in terms of the CDS as a position itself? So opening remarks and comments from you, please.
Thank you, Himanshu. I must appreciate the spirit of Hindustan Republican Global to celebrate General Rawat far away from India. And you can see the concern for motherland that you people have. I congratulate you for this work, and it's great to join you from very far distance away. Well, the news of demise of General Rawat was a shattering news. A brilliant career came to an end. He has been mourned like no other, not only a general, but not even no other political leader in recent past has been. Right from the elite to the ground level, to the grassroots level, you can see the sadness that is spread in India and the shock that has gone through. I'll just very briefly touch firstly on his brilliant career craft, and then his extraordinary contribution to the Army, but in specifically as a chief of defense staff in a very short time of 2 years. Well, General Rawat comes from Pauri Gadwal. His 4 generations have been in the Army. His father, Lieutenant General Lakshman Singh Rawat, was, I have worked with him, he was my chief of staff in the Sun Command. General Bipin Rawat started his career, should I say, of mention. He was a Sword of Honor from the IMA 1978 December batch. And after that, he has looked back. He has served in almost all forward areas. He is an LIC expert, low intensity conflict expert, has shared experience both in the Northeast as well as in Jammu and Kashmir. One can talk a lot about his career, but as General Officer commanding 3 Corps, his Operation Hot Pursuit in 2015 is a very famous operation in which, for the first time, we went inside Myanmar and neutralized liquidated some militants and also took some prisoners. It could show his sense of purpose, honesty, and really working. Nobody will take a decision to cross international border, but he did. Then he served for 3 years as chief. And if I read his awards list, I don't think any award is left. He's got a Param Vishishta Seva Medal, an Ati Vitisha Seva Medal, Uttam Yuddha Seva Medal, Yuddha Seva Medal, a Sena Medal, a Vishishta Seva Medal. He also got a special commendation card when he was in Congo from the forces chief there. So you can see the person that he was. I think the awards show, it's not that awards show everything that a person has, but in case of General Rawat, he's really worked at every time and succeeded in his pursuit. Now I'll come to his major contribution, the Chief of Defence Staff. Now, in 1947, when India became independent, Lord Ismay made the architecture of the defense that India should adopt. And Prime Minister Nehru adopted it in toto, except for one. He dropped the commander-in-chief. The reasons are known. After that, we fought 4 wars, or 5 wars, should we say. In 47, 65, 71, and 99, we did well. Well, 1962 was an ignominious defeat. But be that as it may, without the CNC, could I say we would have done better? Or definitely, the forces were a lame duck. It only dawned on the government after Kargil. There was a Kargil committee, and Mr. Subramaniam was the chief. One of the major recommendations was the institution of the post of Chief of Defence Staff. Unfortunately, no action was taken for 18 years. And it was on 15th August 2019 that Prime Minister Modi announced that there will be a Chief of Defence Staff for the Indian forces. Would I say that General Rawat was to retire as the chief in 19N? So would it be that he found a more suitable person inside and then announced? Well, I won't comment about it further. But there was no doubt at that time that General Bipin Rawat would be made the Chief of Defence Staff. Now, the main objectives of the Chief, I'll just list them, and there is a very expert panel which is going to come after, and then they will debate on it. I'll just put the main objectives of the Chief of Defence Staff and a word everywhere as to how he had attended. Firstly, to bring about jointmanship and reforms in the services which was bereft of any forward-looking for almost 60, 70 years that we have been independent. And General Rawat, it must be understood that he has just had 2 years. So obviously, such a huge palace, he cannot build in 2 years, but made definitely a very major contribution in starting the jointmanship. The very fact that none of the chiefs differed with him as a new person shows that he really has got to the bottom of the jointmanship. Then he was particularly interested to institute the theatre commands. Right now we have 17 commands. What was expected was just have a Western command and Eastern command for both borders, then have a maritime command, and then have an air defense command. Now there's a lot of resistance to this but General Rawat has been able to get quite a lot space in this also. Then the very three aspects of information warfare, cyber warfare and psychological operations were the all forces were only bothered about their tanks, aircraft and flagships. He was asked to make a beginning, and I beg to say he has made some very major inroads into all these three. The fourth was to develop a long-term capability. Now, he has made a beginning. He has instituted a concept of battle groups, which will change the entire perspective of how we employ our combat forces. Then, very important, was the acquisition plan. Earlier, it was done in silos, and everybody went for their own and competed for how much more money they can get, which is wrong. We should have a total kitty to all three services and then sort of distribute around the prioritization. Now, this is what General Rawat has been able to start, and it will definitely make some inroads. And the sixth was mainly to formulate the concept of combat logistics and coordinate the training of all three forces together, so that we don't again work separately. The army doesn't look after its combat logistics. We have all it is all atta, dal, pani, everything is together. So it is much better it is done coordinated. So these are major 6 aspects which were given to General Rawat, and I must say with a lot of conviction that he has made a very, very good beginning for the future CDSs to build on. After all, forces and armies and navies and air forces are not built in 1 or 2 years. They're built in decades or even centuries. And lastly, lastly,
sure.
Sorry, I exceeded my time?
No, please go ahead.
Lastly, General Rawat has definitely obtained or gained a moral ascendancy over our 2 major adversaries, China and Pakistan, which was evident in last 2 years. And all of you know what happened on the eastern Ladakh border and how we sort of acquitted ourselves. Thank you very much. Sorry, Himanshu, I have taken more time, so sorry.
No, sir, you're perfectly well within the time.
Okay.
Well within the time, sir, and thank you for setting the stage as well and sharing those insights. I'll invite General Vikram. I don't see him right now. Sir, are you there? General Vikram? Okay, okay. Sir, you have to unmute yourself.
He's come.
Sir.
Sorry, I had internet issues. I just got locked out myself.
No worries, sir. So where are you based, sir, in India?
I'm in Mao. I'm in the Army War College now. I'm in the Army War College, sir. I'm looking after the JC course now.
Oh, okay. Very nice, sir. Sir, so as you might have heard, General Shashi has already set the stage, and he's indicated how a transformational process has been initiated with the CDS position, and also as an individual that General Rawat was. So I'm simply asking a question, and I'm inviting you for broader comments with the aid of this question. With the void that has unfortunately arisen, what do you think? How do you think, as an institution, military, tri-services, would be able to carry it forward? And also in terms of whether it is going to be Army, Navy, or Air Force, and how do you see this panning out in future? Has the stage been set, or has the destiny snatched him too early before this could actually be put into a real serious motion?
Firstly, thank you for the opportunity to speak on this forum, and as also my respects to our veterans, Jal Pitre and Brigadier Mahajan sir. I would only be speaking something which probably they know better, and I as a person have only worked with General Bipin Rawat when he was the Vice Chief, and then subsequently when he was the Chief for some time. See, as far as his loss is definitely a huge loss to the armed forces, there is no doubt. And it was definitely something which came as a rude shock. But however, the organization that we are, when this office was set in place, his deputies or his number twos were carefully chosen from all the three services. And there were a Lieutenant General rank officer from the Navy, Army, and Air Force assisting him in all his scheduled work and all his plans. And they were a part of the inner group which was working out on issues. So that be so, I think the organization is strong enough and redundant enough, because what he has set path is known to this team of officers who are working with him. Now, all they will need is somebody to take his place and step into his rather big shoes and take it forward from there. So in that way, he set the stage very, very professionally and very, very correctly, and we are ready to go ahead. I mean, his personal presence not being there is definitely going to hurt because, you see, he is the guy who stepped into shoes which I don't know how many people were willing to go initially when this was being planned, because see, he's like the general said, he was a cerebral kind of a guy, and very fearless, very forward looking, unimpeachable integrity. And he always wore his mind on his sleeve. You know, he always spoke his mind. He never had any fear or favor of what he spoke, because he was convinced of the veracity of what he spoke. He was, I think, arguably the only chief who actually openly stated that China was our number one enemy. Nobody ever, it was always, you know, clothed in some sort of a term phrase, but he openly said that China was our number one enemy. And his detractors who you know, started calling him as a warmonger, that he's looking for war and, you know, he's going offensive. But, you know, I will, in the next 5-7 minutes, I just picked off a few quotes of his, what he has said. And in this context, the one quote that he had said was, "Pehli goli hamari nahi hogi. Pehli goli hamari nahi hogi, lekin uske baad goli ki ginti hum nahi karenge."
Right.
So he was very clear in his mind that he is not the guy who's going to go to the war, but should somebody venture against the country, then there will be no holds barred. He has incrementally reinforced the belief in the armed forces that we have the capability to defend the nation, you know. And as a result, as a corollary, I could say, you see a new, confident and tough India, which is ready to take its place in its rightful place in the world affairs. And it is easily shown, this emotion is easily shown by the turnout of people who came out, who stepped out of their houses to bid him farewell. I mean, it was a huge kind of this public display of grief, even by the common man, hitherto foreseen for or unheard for any other personality of the armed forces. It has never happened in this guy. So obviously his demeanor, his behavior, the way he interacted with people or he came across to the public, it appeared that he's a guy who's willing to stand up for the country and go against anybody who's against the country. And that, and as a senior commander of the forces, as a chief of army staff, as a CDS, he has taken many actions where his predecessor did not venture to go, for the fear of ruffling feathers, for the fear of, you know, getting detractors along the way. But what he felt was correct, and he always went ahead challenging the status quo and pulling many people out of the comfort zone, as also stopping many undesirable activities that were there. To name a few, like the general was saying, the surgical strikes in Myanmar, nobody ever felt that we should go across the border to kill or to punish people who are harming our country. But he was one of those guys who took that decision as early as a corps commander. And then you see the Doklam episode, you see the Balakot airstrikes, and most recently in Eastern Ladakh. You know, after 67 in the Nathula skirmish, China has never had to step back under pressure from India. And this was one place where they had to actually retract from their positions because of the offensive action that General Rawat initiated and ordered to be taken. And he has always been a man of reforms. And, when I came in contact with him, that was the time I was a team creating this Army Design Bureau. Army Design Bureau was created basically for promoting the Make in India as far as the defense technologies are concerned. And that is where I first met him as the vice chief, and then subsequently worked under him as a chief. And he was a great proponent of Atmanirbhar Bharat. He always said that we must encourage our own industry. We must encourage our own industry to create equipment and resources suitable to us, because we are invariably buying things which the other countries make for their armies, and then we adapt them to our armies. He says, why should we do that? We have got adequate resources. We have the technology, we have the expertise. So we should, as a country, as an army, as an armed forces, accept our Indian equipment and help them grow. He never said that it may not be top of the line at the Mark 1 phase, but then unless we hold their hands and tell them how to improve, they will never improve. And that's how me as an army officer, the other veterans would know that, when you have to meet the industry, you have to take huge number of permissions. But he gave me a blanket sanction. He said, you meet anybody and everybody you want except the foreign vendors. You meet anybody in India, you don't need anybody's clearance. And I used to meet at least 5 or 6 vendors every day and telling them how to go ahead, what are the technologies we are looking. Our team was led by General Saha, Subrata Saha as the deputy chief. And we went across the country telling people. And this was all because General Rawat felt that we need to be an Atmanirbhar army. And he had a very popular quote again, that we are determined to innovate and indigenize, and we will win India's wars with Indian solutions. That was a catchword that he had coined for us, that winning India's wars with Indian solutions. And that is what pushed us. He went into a lot of areas which drew a lot of detractors in the canteen services, in the disability pension. He had his own mind, and he used to, go ahead without even thinking or worrying about who felt what, because he felt it was correct, and he took those tough decisions. And unfortunately, those people who did not know his mind would not understand why he's doing that, and he didn't have the time to explain to everybody. So probably that is a reason why you find that he has a number of people who think a lot of his decisions were not what he should have done. So I will leave it at that. You see, the armed forces have never seen a leader of his caliber and charisma. You could talk about General Manik Shaw, God bless his soul, but the kind of, you see him walk, you notice the purposeful gait and the confident gait with which he walks, which detractors call his arrogance. Yes, he was arrogant, but the arrogance came from the belief that India as a country and the Indian armed forces can no longer be taken for granted. And his actions have proven that on many occasions. We will miss that charming smile, that cool calm, that reassurance, presence, and the quiet confidence he carried when he was around. To end, all I can say is rest in peace, my general. You will be sorely missed. And yes, for our tomorrow, you gave our today. And I'll end with one of his another very popular quotes that I quote: "We seek neither gratitude nor applause, because we firmly believe in the wisdom of the Urdu couplet, खामोशी से बनाते रहो पहचान अपनी, हवाएं खुद तुम्हारा तराना गाएंगी." Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Again, giving more insights on this topic. And in fact, while you were speaking, a few thoughts came into my mind, which I'm going to pass on to Brigadier Mahajan. And before I do that, and take cues from what you said, Major Punya has joined. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. Very good morning, and again, thank you for taking out time. We have General Shashi Pitre, we have Brigadier Hemant Mahajan, General Vikram just spoke. I'm going over to Brigadier Hemant, and then would request your insights on the topic. We had 1 minute of silence in the honor of the fallen soldiers and the lady. So the cues that I've taken from General Vikram, he said that it is a transformational leadership, a new his personality, his gait. Two things which caught my attention, which I'm passing on to Brigadier Hemant and requesting your insights. One, the whole concept of CDS is definitely empowering. But how about this whole bureaucracy that militaries, all the three tri-services have been struggling with? Being the services, we know the struggles that between the Babus and the military infrastructure, how we have it. Has CDS, the position of CDS and General Rawat has been able to breach or even make inroads into that kind of blockage that we have had, because General Vikram indicated that he could actually go out and meet independent contractors, independent industry people. And the second comment I wanted to give you, General Vikram, and everyone is, I've been involved in some of these deals here. And I can tell you, in the last 2 years, the people who've come to us for the funding, I'm been operating in merger and acquisition, and people have come and said that now, if you are able to fund us, we will assure that the bills, it's a very simple thing, but the bills from the Ministry of Defense are not really a blocker now. So things are supposedly changing. But has that really happened because of the CDS or because of the personality? This is one takeaway from General Vikram that I'm passing on to Brigadier Hemant. Sir, over to you, along with your own thoughts, sir, on the topic.
Thank you very much, Himanshu. I want to thank you and Rajiv, who spoke to me, for inviting me to speak on this issue to the Indians who are in America. You are a soft power as far as the country is concerned. The Indians in America earlier were divided as Maharashtrians, Gujaratis, Punjabis, Telugus, etc. I remember Maharashtra Sevak Sangha. But I think what is important is we have to get united and show a united front so that we can protect our national interest. And I think you are a very important soft power, because there are 3 crore Indians which are spread out all over the world, and important countries like the USA, the Europe, etc. We definitely require you, because the enemies of the country, China, Pakistan, are doing so many activities, and China has managed to infiltrate into all the institutions of America, the media, the politicians, the bureaucracy, the think tanks, you name it. I wonder if there is any institution of America left in which the Chinese are not included, and the Chinese media takes pride in cursing their own president while they keep on praising the Chinese. They curse the American presidents, but praise the Chinese. Imagine the American president, whatever may be his caliber, has been elected by the people of America. So people of America, I hope, know whom they are electing, but the media finds it convenient to curse them, the presidents, and praise the Chinese. So soft power is very important. We need to put pressure on the various politicians who are there to protect our national interest. Having said that, I'll now come down to General Bipin Rawat. General Pitre and General Vikram has covered so much of ground that there is very little left for me to cover as far as General Rawat's achievements are concerned. However, to ensure that I don't repeat anything, I'll only talk about one thing. When he became the 27th Army Chief, his achievements as the Sword of Honor and Corps Commander and commanding brigades and divisions and corps on the Indo-China border, Indo-Pakistan border, LOC, LSC, anti-insurgency operations, anti-terrorist operations, you name a thing, and General Rawat has done everything, and 4 decades of service to the army, so I would not repeat on that. But I would talk about his one singular achievement, that was the surgical strike which was done post-Uri, after we lost some troops in Uri. Now, that is the time we decided to get into Pakistan and kill some terrorists, etc. Now, at that point of time, there was a set of experts in India who used to always advise government, no, don't touch Pakistan. They are a nuclear weapon. If you do something to them, they'll get angry and they'll drop nuclear bombs on Mumbai and Pune. Okay, so the government of the day used to get scared, and what it was called what I would call cowardice at that point of time was given a very interesting word called strategic restraint. Basically, they were scared. Now, this is what it was. No, Pakistan, China will also attack you. No, the terrorists will do something. The insurgents will do something. So there was always a fear mongering. Let Pakistan is not worried about your nuclear weapons, but you should be worried about the nuclear weapons count, how many weapons they have, where are they placed, etc. So when the government decided to go in for a strike, this was the obvious question they asked General Rawat. Suppose China comes to the rescue of Pakistan, will you be able to manage the situation? Suppose if Pakistan goes in for a limited war like Kargil, or it goes out for an all-out war against India, or it uses whatever weapons it has at disposal. And it was General Rawat who professionally told the government, yes, we are capable of taking care of all the threats that that will be posed by Pakistan should we carry out a surgical strike inside Pakistan. And that was the beginning. And of course, it was later followed by Balakot. And today we have seen that after 2014, there has been no terror strike anywhere except the Kashmir Valley. So obviously, the policy of strategic restraint, which the previous government followed, was no good. And General Rawat ensured that at least the rest of India has become now much more safer. So that was one contribution I would talk about. Then, as far as his CDS's job is concerned, General Vikram has talked a lot about it. All that I would talk about it. What are the implications of working jointly? The best results were produced by the Indian Armed Forces in 1971, when a towering personality of the Field Marshal ensured that we fought jointly. There was no institutional mechanism at that point of time. But Field Marshal was a charismatic person, and he carried everybody together, including bureaucracy, including politicians. But a country of our size cannot depend only on charismatic personalities. We got to have institutional strength. संस्थात्मक ताकत होनी चाहिए. And this is exactly what integrated theatre commands are all about. We're going to have one theatre command against China, one against Pakistan, one peninsular command, one aerospace command, and one looking after the maritime aspects. So this will ensure that Army, Navy, Air Force comes together and does everything what they're supposed to do. But what we must understand is, while this kind of commands are good for a conventional operation, but the nature of warfare is changing very fast. And now we have what is called as the hybrid war, the gray zone warfare, the unrestricted warfare. Now, without getting into too much of a bookish definition, all that I want to tell you is, what is unrestricted warfare? This is the name the Chinese give itself to this warfare. Unrestricted warfare has only one rule, that there are no rules. That means the Chinese will fight with you on a political front. They will try to infiltrate your political system. They'll try to infiltrate into your bureaucrats. They will try and infiltrate into your media. They'll carry out propaganda warfare. They'll carry out psychological warfare. They'll carry out economic subversion. They'll carry out economic warfare. They'll carry out legal warfare. They'll carry out diplomatic warfare. Think of any more warfare that you can think about, and they're using it. They'll use Pakistan as a proxy against you. They'll infiltrate into your neighborhoods and try and hurt you. They'll put pressure on Bhutan to say, please concede Doklam, because we will settle the borders with you. And if that is done, what kind of a problem that we're going to have, the threat to Siriguti Corridor, etc., we all know. So they are using all kinds of warfare. Now, the point that I want to make is the theatre commands, integrated commands, the DAMA, Department of Military Affairs, you talked about the bureaucracy, is something which is going to combine all our resources. Training jointly, planning jointly, working out appreciation jointly, working out execution jointly. And this is not only for a conventional war, but it is also for a hybrid war. General Rawat, in various seminars that he talked about, he spoke about the hybrid war. He talked about the disruptive technologies which China is using. He mentioned about the artificial intelligence, how China is using it. He talked about the quantum technologies. He talked about the microwave weapons. He talked about the super soldiers that China is talking about. He had understood as to how the hybrid war is fought, and he was willing to step into that domain. Cyber warfare was touched upon by General Vikram and General Pitre also. There was a cyber attack on electricity grid of Mumbai. 12 hours, the economic capital of country was down. And nobody wanted to even say that it was attacked by the Chinese, knowing it very well that it was a Chinese attack. And you require somebody who needs to call spade a spade. The Chinese have realized, now if you read the Chinese newspapers and Chinese think tanks, etc., they have understood that China is no more considered a friend of India. and China will not be able to bulldoze itself into the face, because China, all said and done, wants to ensure that our economic progress is stopped, we do not emerge as an alternative to China in the Asian continent, etc., etc. So all that, General Rawat started all this. He got into technology. He got into, I'm sure you know, there are no autonomous vehicles which are there, especially the drones, etc. The drone induction in the army, the drone induction into the navy, the drone induction into the air force has been of a very high order. We have got it for a lot of technological innovations, technological cutting edge technology, as we call it, during his time. We have a cyber command, etc. So all other kinds of warfare which were not focused upon adequately in the earlier days are now being focused upon. So our response to them will be of a much better quality. I also must tell you here that somehow there was a set of experts in this country who were obsessed with, I don't want to get into arm specific things, with Pakistan. Pakistan is the enemy. We can very clearly tell you that our enemy number one is China. And today we are focusing more on China without getting into specifics. Now we have a strike code against China in Ladakh. We have a strike code against China in this. We were even scared to say that we have a strike code, because all our layout on the Indo-China border was defensive in nature. And we used to talk of only defending ourselves. And we used to talk about, oh, they will get 35 divisions, 8 divisions in Arunachal and 3 divisions in Sikkim. I spent all my lifetime in trying to find out how many divisions came where. Well, they never came during my lifetime. And I'm sure they will not come even during my son's lifetime, who's also in the army, by the way. What we need to do is, there's a limit to how we can defend the country in a defensive manner. We got to have the capability of offensive, and we got to tell the people. This was what one of our very famous generals used to say, General Sundarji, if I remember him, he used to say, not only should you have a capability to do something, but you must announce it to the enemy that we have a capability. This is exactly what the Chinese do. They say we have microwave weapons, we have hypersonic weapons. Well, we also have it. So General Bipin Rawat ensured that the focus was equally directed toward the Chinese border. A lot of institutional changes were made without getting into too much of specifics. And it was a change well made, and we are more than qualified to fight a two-front war. No shortage of time, and you have another set of illustrious panelists who are there. All that I will talk about now is General Rawat's achievements have been well documented. I think, and this is my personal opinion, that maybe 5 years from now or 10 years from now, General Rawat, what he did for the country will be understood better. Because even today, we have some set of experts, which Major General Vikram was talking about, who did not understand some of the steps which General Rawat took as being right. And I personally say, whatever steps he took, I don't want to get into specifics that become too much of an army domain. They were all right. That is my personal opinion. And maybe the contribution of General Rawat to making India secure will be understood better 5 years or 10 years from now, when in a slightly cooler environment, we will again try to judge General Bipin Rawat. His contribution was immense. And before I finish another 2-3 minutes, I must also talk about the lady who went away with him, his very esteemed wife. She also died in the same crash. But is this the first time the ladies are also laying down their life for the sake of the nation? No. Just about a month back, CO 46 Assam Rifle was martyred, and along with him, he took away his wife and a small child of 6 years old, a very cute boy. And there have been an n number of instances, especially in Kashmir, in Jammu, etc., when the terrorists carried out attacks on our cantonments, and they are all well documented, in which the ladies have faced almost the same kind of a danger as their husbands have faced, and they have fought bravely. Some of them have been martyred. Not too much of it was brought in the public domain. We have lost children, but I think we need to also pay our homage to these brave ladies, to these brave children who also almost face the same dangers as their parents faced. And before I end, I would again want to comment again on the ladies' power. That is, there were two ladies who were prominent in General Rawat's funeral when it was going on. And I'm sure you know, they are the ones who have lost their husbands in the same crash. And one of the ladies, even his body has not been identified, because when the bodies were taken out, they were burned so much that they could never be recognized. Possibly, it is only a DNA test will tell you whether he was A, B, or C. But those two ladies, they're supporting daughters of General Rawat. I think hats off to this lady power, hats off to the families, and of course, hats off to General Rawat. And I'm sure his contribution to making India more secure will be understood much, much better than what it has been understood today. Because today, 99% of Indians are grieving as if they have lost a personal member. However, I repeat, there have been some people who have been talking in an idiotic language. I'm sure the worth of General Rawat will be understood better maybe few years from now. I'll stop. Over to you, Himanshu.
Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate you again sharing some thoughts there and thought-provoking thoughts. So with that, sir, I'll go over to the youngest panelist here, senior to me though, Major Punia. Sir, I'm passing on to you, sir, and I have, by the way, seen how you tweet. So with the background that I'm aware of, I'm going to breach on a little controversial topic. Choose to ignore if you want to, but I take that liberty to ask you that. And sitting here, it is unfathomable to think, coming from forces donned the uniform. When I came here, I was talking to other esteemed panelists here, how I was received in this country with the respect and with the support. But when I saw recently what is happening after the demise of General Rawat CDS and other officers, especially General Rawat CDS, has been commented on negatively in the social media. It was shocking to say the least, irrespective of the religious identity, because we in the forces have never seen any religious identities, as we have all. You served in SF, sir, and other officers have served in different. I have served in different units. That was shocking to say the least. So I'm inviting your comments, sir. How exactly can a society change? Is it what General Rawat was indicating, 2.5 wars, or are we reading too much into it? Or what is your reading of this situation? In addition, sir, your general comment about this whole fiasco or the loss that we have as a society, as a country, and as a military institution we have faced. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Himanshu. Yeah, it's a sad moment. I'm happy that you got such a massive support from Indian community abroad, and that shows that how a common Indian treat a man or woman in the uniform or their family. And that's the biggest strength of like us as a soldier. हमारी जो आपने भी देखा है, पढ़ा है, हम अपने सीनियर्स भी जो अभी बोल रहे हैं कि सबसे बड़ी जो ताकत है वो हमारी हथियार नहीं है. हमारी सबसे बड़ी ताकत तो इस मुल्क की जनता है, ये लोग हैं. तो मैं कुछ चीजें जो आपने पूछा इन पे भी बोलूंगा. और लाइक आई हैड a very personal and family relation with General Rawat, and it started from 2008 when I was in Rashtrapati Bhavan with the president. So in a military investiture ceremony, first time I met him, and he came and he just shook my hand like very tightly and he said, बच्चे, मेरा भी सपना था कि मैं स्पेशल फोर्सेस में जाता. तो मैंने ऐसे ही बोला कि सर लेकिन जो आपकी आवाज है और जिस ढंग से आप देख रहे हो, उससे देख के तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मैं मेरा वाला बलिदान निकाल के आपकी चेस्ट पे लगा दूं. And he remembered that word whenever he came, and if that day I was not on the duty in the president house, and he asked the staff, military secretary or someone, where is the Sunny, or just call that boy. And that over the time that keep growing on. And I will narrate an incident. You must be aware of Major Gogoi's incident, जो उन्होंने जीप के ऊपर बांध के और इतने सिविलियन लोगों की जान बचाई थी जहाँ इलेक्शन चल रहा था. और सिविलियन जो जनता है, वो जो टेररिस्ट, जो प्रो और टेररिस्ट जो जनता थी, उन्होंने केरोसिन और पत्थर लाके उस पूरी बिल्डिंग में आग लगाने की कोशिश की. और जिस ढंग से मेजर गोगोई ने उस बंदे को जो सबसे आगे लीडर था उसको जीप पे बैठा के और सबको बचाया. So I was on the TV channel on a debate, and I will not name the general. जिन्होंने अभी भी जनरल रावत के बारे में काफी बकवास लिखा है सोशल मीडिया पे, बिकॉज आई पर्सनली फील कि इन लोगों का नाम लेके इनका कद ऊंचा नहीं करना कभी भी, बिकॉज इन लोगों ने यूनिफॉर्म पहनी है, आपने यूनिफॉर्म पहनी है। अगर मेरा हिमांशु के साथ कोई पर्सनल है, जनरल पित्रे ब्रिगेडियर हेमंत के साथ मेरा कोई पर्सनल इशू है, तो आई विल जस्ट गिव ए कॉल एंड आई विल गो एट होम और इन ऑफिस, आई विल हैव टू ड्रिंक एंड वी विल जस्ट सॉर्ट आउट। वी हैव द सेम ब्लड, वी हैव द सेम आइडिया अबाउट दिस नेशन। तो उन्होंने उनके बारे में जो अभी लिखा वो भी टीवी चैनल पे ही बैठे थे। सो रोहित सरदाना जी जो अभिनेता है, गॉड ब्लेस हिज सोल आल्सो, एंड ही आस्क्ड कि मेजर पुनिया व्हाट डू यू थिंक about this incident? So I served in Kashmir in that area for 7 years. So my first reaction was like, I said, as per me, अगर आज आर्मी चीफ होता तो मैं अभी इमीडिएटली कॉल करके गोगोई को बोलता, वेल डन सन एंड वी आर विद यू, और उसको कमेंडेशन या उसको कोई मेडल मिलना चाहिए, क्योंकि उसने बिना गोली चलाए इतने लोगों की जान बचा ली। तो इससे बड़ा क्या हो सकता है? ही इज ऑन द ग्राउंड कमांडर एंड ही नो व्हाट्स द बेस्ट सिचुएशन, उसको क्या करना चाहिए। वो जो ऑन ग्राउंड कमांडर है, दे नो बेस्ट। हम यहाँ बैठ के इसी रूम में टीवी पे कितनी भी बकवास करें, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। जब गोली चल रही होती है, आपके साथी किसी को गोली लग गई और आपके सामने भीड़ है, आपको सब कुछ ऑन द स्पॉट रिएक्शन देना है। लोगों की, सिविलियन लोगों की भी जान बचानी है, अपने साथियों की भी जान बचानी है, फौज की इज्जत, ऑनर, डिसिप्लिन को भी कायम करना है। तो जो आप करते हैं मेरे हिसाब से ऑन ग्राउंड कमांडर ठीक ही करते हैं। तो मैंने मेरा मोबाइल नहीं देखा, और जो सामने जो जनरल साहब थे उन्होंने कहा नहीं उसका कोर्ट मार्शल होना चाहिए, ये होना चाहिए। Then I again objected, no sir, leave it up to the army officials जो ऑन ग्राउंड कमांडर है। उसी जो ही डिबेट खत्म हुई तो आर्मी चीफ के जो एसओ थे उनका मेरे पास कॉल आया, और उन्होंने कहा कि मैसेज देखो सर मोबाइल में। सो मैंने मैसेज देखा तो उसमें दो साइन थे। पहला साइन था लाइक दिस, तो मेरे को समझ में नहीं आया कि ये क्या है। फिर 3 मिनट के बाद में दूसरा मैसेज था डन डन। सो आई कॉल्ड एसओ अगेन कि 2 मैसेज आए, मेरे को समझ में नहीं आया बॉस कि क्या है। एक में ये दिखाया, तो उन्होंने कहा कि अभी जो टीवी में बोला ना कि जो ऑन ग्राउंड कमांडर है उसके ऊपर छोड़ो ना, और उसने अच्छा किया। तो बॉस बैठे थे, वो देख रहे थे टीवी, उन्होंने कहा कि बिल्कुल
सर आपका नेटवर्क आई थिंक लिटिल पैची,
एंड देन यू आर्ग्यूड विद दैट।
इंटरप्टिंग यू सर।
तो आपको आवाज आ रही है
सर? आपका नेटवर्क आई थिंक
सो दैट शुड बी अवॉर्डेड अकॉर्डिंगली। अभी आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ जी सर, प्लीज गो अहेड।
या सो उन्होंने नीचे लिखा डन, तो उन्होंने कहा कि या ही विल बी अवॉर्डेड। एंड मतलब मैं आपको क्या बताऊं हिमांशु, एंड जब मैं शाम को फंक्शन में मिला उनसे, तो ही सेड कि पुनिया जो यहाँ पे है वो यहाँ पे था। बोला कि हर चीज मैं नहीं बोल पाऊंगा, लेकिन मतलब जो मेरे यहाँ था वो तेरे जुबान पे था। आई होप यू गॉट इट। मैंने बोला सर मैं तो बच्चा हूं, मेरे को समझ में नहीं आता। एंड जो आपने बोला कि कैसे कुछ सोशल मीडिया के लोग जनरल साहब के पीछे पड़े, इस समय जो मुल्क है, मुल्क को मेरे हिसाब से पाकिस्तान चाइना से ज्यादा खतरा 0.5% जो लोग हैं, जो एक जिन्होंने एक मिशन चला रखा है, that may be against the Modi, that may be against the rising power of this nation। जिस ढंग से ये देश जो आगे जा रहा है, तो इसको नीचे खींचने के लिए तो किसके ऊपर अटैक करेंगे? या तो उस पर अटैक करेंगे जो इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग लीडर है, जिसके पीछे पब्लिक खड़ी है, उसकी इमेज खराब की जाए, या उस आदमी के अगेंस्ट खड़ा ये मूवमेंट खड़ा करेंगे जो कि जो सरहदों की रखवाली कर रहा है। कि जिस ढंग से डोकलाम में, जिस ढंग से गलवान में, जिस ढंग से कश्मीर में, ढंग से इंडियन आर्मी ने मतलब टेररिज्म को जिस ढंग से दबाया, तो उससे ये साबित हो गया कि जो ये यहाँ पे एक लॉबी बैठी है, जो हथियारों वाली लॉबी बैठी है, जो प्रो पाक लॉबी बैठी है, प्रो आईएसआई लॉबी बैठी है, प्रो चाइना लॉबी बैठी है, ये सारे लोग, ये जो जितने भी जो लिखने वाले हैं, इनमें कोई भी हिमांशु एक कॉमन इंडियन नहीं है जिसके दिल में भारत बसता हो और जिसने जन साहब के खिलाफ कुछ बोला हो। यस, अभी थोड़ी देर पहले ब्रिगेडियर हेमंत ने कहा कि यस ही वाज एरोगेंट। एरोगेंट मतलब अगर आप प्रिंसिपल के साथ हो, अगर आप वैल्यूज के साथ हो, अगर आप इंडियन आर्मी के इथोस के साथ हो, अगर आपने कंट्री इज अबोव ऑल रख रखा है, और अगर इसी चीज को लेके आप एरोगेंट हो, अगर आपने अपनी छाती पे झंडा लगा रखा है, आप जुबान से पूरा हिंदुस्तान बोलते हो, तो आई वांट दैट काइंड ऑफ एरोगेंस इन ईच एंड एवरी इंडियन। यही तो सबसे बड़ी फक्र की बात है। और जन साहब के जो दिल में था वो जुबान पे था। हिमांशु, एक नरेशन और करूंगा मैं आपको।
सर,
there was a marathon in the Delhi, Soldierathon marathon, in honor of martyrs, and I was conducting. He called me कि conduct करना है आपको. That time I got retired, तो I said कि सर मैंने कभी मैराथन ऑर्गेनाइज नहीं किया. उनका करो, आप करो, सब कुछ हो जाएगा. एंड जब इवेंट होने लगी तो लाइक मेरे पास इतना टी शर्ट ही नहीं था कि मतलब 7,000 टी शर्ट बनाई और 12,000 लोग आ गए. एंड देन ही कॉल्ड सम रिटायर्ड आर्मी ऑफिसर्स जो ऐसा काम करते थे, उनको कहा कि बच्चों को टी शर्ट चाहिए, 5,000 टी शर्ट. और एक रात में जब टी शर्ट आई, ही वाज द चीफ गेस्ट. एंड हिमांशु, उनका टाइम था 6 o'clock. His time was 6 o'clock. And can you imagine, Army Chief General Rawat came at 4 o'clock to the stadium. And पूरे जो जितने बंदे थे उनको पता था कि 6 बजे आएंगे जनरल साहब, क्योंकि चीफ गेस्ट हैं, 5 मिनट पहले आएंगे. और जब 4 बजे आ गए तो मतलब मेरे को समझ में, मैंने बोला सर आप इतना जल्दी क्यों आ गए, इधर काम सब रुक जाएगा. He said no, we will go to the each and every point, checkpoint. We will see कि पानी है या नहीं है. We will see कि मार्टिर्स की जो वाइफ्स हैं वो कहाँ बैठेंगे. We will see कि हमारे वार वेटरन्स कहाँ बैठेंगे. We will see कि उनका खाने का, ब्रेकफास्ट का जो मेडल्स दिए जाएंगे कहाँ दिए जाएंगे, सर्टिफिकेट्स कहाँ दिए जाएंगे, रास्ता जो रूट है उसके अंदर कहाँ पे हमारे वॉलंटियर लगे, एनसीसी कहाँ पे हमारे सोल्जर लगे. मैंने बोला सर ये हम कर देंगे, आपको नहीं. उसने कहा कोई बात नहीं, चल मेरे को ये समझ, मैं भी सीख रहा हूँ. आफ्टर रिटायरमेंट समडे मे बी आई विल ऑर्गेनाइज मैराथन, तो मुझे भी सीखना है. एंड मतलब माइन्यूटेस्ट डिटेल. एंड जब स्टेज पे खड़े थे तो वी कॉल्ड ऑल 3 परमवीर चक्र ऑन द स्टेज. सो दिल्ली पुलिस स्टॉप्ड सूबेदार संजय सिंह साहब जो थे, सूबेदार मेजर संजय साहब को. तो उन्होंने कहा कि आप स्टेज पे नहीं जा सकते, वीआईपी हो. तो जनरल रावत होल्ड माय हैंड एंड वी वॉक टुवर्ड्स पुलिस. उन्होंने पुलिस के एसपी को कहा कि इनसे बड़ा वीआईपी कोई नहीं है इस देश में, ये 3 वीआईपी हैं. एंड दिस इज कमिंग फ्रॉम आर्मी चीफ कि अपने तीनों परमवीर चक्र को उन्होंने दिल्ली पुलिस के एसपी को कहा कि परमवीर चक्र से इस देश में बड़ा कोई वीआईपी नहीं है. आज तक सिर्फ 19 लोगों को मिला है और 3 जिंदा हैं. आपकी खुशकिस्मती है कि आपने इनका आमने सामने इनके दर्शन कर लिए, और आप इनको रोक रहे हैं कि स्टेज पे नहीं जा सकते, स्टेज वीआईपी के लिए. यही तो है स्टेज पे, और उनको नीचे से पकड़ के मेरे साथ उनको ऊपर लेके आए. दैट स्पीक्स ए वॉल्यूम की मतलब. और एक आदमी से, आपको याद होगा कि परमवीर चक्र जो अब्दुल हमीद की जो बेगम साहिबा थी, जब वो वहां गए, मतलब आर्मी चीफ, मतलब उन्होंने झुक के उनके पैर छुए. और इसका मतलब है कि इंडियन आर्मी की जो हमारी वैल्यूज है, उन्होंने वहां पे मतलब पूरे हिंदुस्तान की आर्मी ने परमवीर चक्र की वाइफ के पैर छुए. मुझे ऐसा लगता है हमेशा जूनियर आदमी का हाथ पकड़ा. लोगों को प्रॉब्लम इसलिए हुई कि उन्होंने वो चीजें बाहर निकाल दी कि इनकॉम्पिटेंस नहीं सहा जाएगा. भाई साहब, अगर इंडियन आर्मी का झंडा गिर गया तो उस दिन इस देश का झंडा गिर जाएगा. उस दिन इस देश का झंडा गिर जाएगा. ये लास्ट वेपन है इस मुल्क के पास. अगर ये जिस दिन लड़खड़ा गया, उनका यही कहना था, जिस दिन ये लड़खड़ा गया पूरा मुल्क लड़खड़ा जाएगा. आपको याद होगा कि उन्होंने एक जगह स्पीच में कहा, युवाओं से ये कहा, जब ये टुकड़े टुकड़े गैंग जो देश के खिलाफ नारे लगा रहे थे, जो सेना के खिलाफ नारे लगा रहे थे, तो उन्होंने बच्चों से कहा कि देखो ये देश आपका, हम तो चले जाएंगे यहाँ से. मेरे को आज भी याद है, जेएनयू में स्पीच चल रहा था, उन्होंने कहा कि हम तो चले जाएंगे, थोड़े दिनों के हैं, लेकिन देश तो आपका है. तो आपको कैसा देश चाहिए? आपको वो देश चाहिए जिसमें आपके बड़े बुजुर्ग, माँ बाप, आपके देश की रक्षा करने वालों को गाली देने वाला देश चाहिए, या आपको वो देश चाहिए कि जिनकी आप इज्जत करो? अरे उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि जो आदमी अपनी जान देश के लिए दे दिया जिसने, उससे ज्यादा क्या लोगे उससे यार आप. ठीक है. और उन्होंने साथ में वार्निंग भी दी थी. उन्होंने कहा कि जो बच्चे अगर ऐसे दिग्भ्रमित हो गए, उनको या तो देश के साथ शामिल हो जाना चाहिए, अगर वो शामिल नहीं होंगे तो उनको दंडित किया जाना चाहिए, और करेंगे. मतलब एक आर्मी चीफ, तभी लोगों को इश्यू हो गया कि जो सिविलियन सोसाइटी में जो लोग बैठे हैं, जो दिल्ली में लुटेंस गैंग बैठा है, वो ये चाहते हैं कि कोई भी ऐसा इंस्पायरिंग फिगर देश में, आर्मी, एयरफोर्स, नेवी, जो इनके जो लोग हैं, जो जनता को जो इंस्पायर कर सकते हैं, उनके जुबान से कभी भी ऐसी बात ना निकले जिससे देश का जो युवा है, आने वाली पीढ़ी है, उसको लगे कि अरे ये बात सही है, ऐसा फॉलो करना चाहिए। वो ये चाहते हैं कि सोसाइटी में डिवाइड हो, वो ये चाहते हैं कि इस देश की संस्कृति को डिवैल्यू किया जाए, देश की सिविलाइजेशन को डिवैल्यू किया जाए, देश की यूनिफॉर्म को इतना नीचे रखा जाए। आपको याद होगा, आपने खुद ने देखा है कि फील्ड मार्शल मानेकशॉ साहब की जब डेथ हुई तो जिस ढंग से उनका अंतिम संस्कार किया गया, इट्स पेनफुल कि सरकार से एक एमपी तक नहीं गया, एक मंत्री तक नहीं गया, और वहां का कलेक्टर और जो एसपी वो भी नहीं गए, उन्होंने डिप्टी जो कलेक्टर और जो डीएसपी है उनको भेज दिया। अरे थोड़ा तुम बख्श दो यार, मतलब वो आदमी हीरो है इस देश का, वो उसने पाकिस्तान के 2 टुकड़े करवाने वालों में से था, तो आप कम से कम उनको इज्जत तो बख्श दो। जनरल रावत बिल्कुल अनकन्वेंशनल सोल्जर थे, और अनकन्वेंशनल इसलिए कि पूरे टाइम, जैसे अभी ब्रिगेडियर हेमंत ने कहा, लोगों ने कहा कि पाकिस्तान नंबर 1 रैंक में, उनका पाकिस्तान को तो कभी भी रन ओवर कर सकते हैं, इधर ध्यान दो ना, चाइना की तरफ ध्यान दो ना। आपको याद होगा कि जीपिंग जब आया हुआ था भारत में और मोदी जी के साथ गुजरात में उनकी फोटो सेशन चल रहा था, उसी दिन मानेकशॉ लेक्चर सेंटर के अंदर जनरल रावत ने कहा कि हमारा नंबर 1 दुश्मन चाइना है, और लोगों ने कहा कि जनरल साहब ने ये बोल दिया और अब तो प्रधानमंत्री बहुत नाराज हो जाएंगे। और उसी शाम को जनरल रावत एनएसए डोवाल साहब के साथ पूरा प्रेजेंटेशन दिया उन्होंने पीएम को, पूरा प्रेजेंटेशन दिया कि हकीकत क्या है, कि ये कहीं ऐसा नहीं हो जाए 62 टाइप की, ऊपर से गले मिल रहे हैं और पीछे पीठ में औरंगजेब, या जो जैसे शिवाजी को उन्होंने चाकू पीछे घोंपा था, कहीं ऐसा ना हो जाए। सो हिमांशु, आप सबने पढ़ा है, देखा है, लाइक फॉर मी इट्स लाइक अ पर्सनल लॉस, एंड आप हमारे सारे जिन्होंने वर्दी पहनी है उन लोगों के लिए एक बहुत बड़ा लॉस है, कंट्री के लिए भी एक बहुत बड़ा लॉस है। और जो लोग जिन्होंने भी इस जनरल रावत के खिलाफ जो भी किसी भी मोटिवेशन से लिखा है, मेनली जो ये चंडीगढ़ लॉबी है, जो हथियारों के सौदों में शामिल थी, उनको साइड में कर दिया, इसलिए वो लोग दुखी हैं। या कुछ पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज के लोग जो कि आर्मी को कभी भी मतलब प्रॉपर ऑनर नहीं देना चाहते, तो वो उन लोगों को दुख इस बात का कि देश में ये लोग हीरो, आर्मी का बंदा हीरो कैसे बन गया, सोल्जर यूनिफॉर्म वाला आदमी को जनता इतनी मोहब्बत क्यों कर रही है। गलत क्या बोला उन्होंने, ये भी बोला था कि पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल करना पड़ेगा। भैया क्यों आर्मी चीफ इस देश से बाहर है क्या सोल्जर इस देश का कि कहीं बाहर से आता है क्या, वो भी इसी सोसाइटी से है ना, तो उसको बोलने का तो हक है ना। अगर उसको आप देश के फ्यूचर के बारे में पूछ रहे हो, तो अगर उसमें 10 पॉइंट है डेवलपमेंट के, तो उसमें एक पॉइंट अगर ये भी है कि पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल करना पड़ेगा, तो बोलेगा नहीं क्या? अगर वो बोलता है तो सारी पॉलिटिकल पार्टियां खड़ी हो जाती हैं कि इनको क्या मतलब है बोलने से। भैया वो इस देश का आदमी है, वो इस देश की सबसे रिकॉग्नाइज, सबसे वैल्यूड, सबसे डिसिप्लिन और सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का हेड है यार। वो आपने बनाया उसको, या तो बनाओ मत ना उसको, जब आपने बनाया है तो कम से कम उसकी सुनो तो सही। और एक चीज आपने और देखा होगा कि जनरल रावत के टाइम जो सिविलियन गवर्नमेंट है, पॉलिटिकल गवर्नमेंट, उसका और आर्म फोर्सेस का जो कोहेजन था, वो एक बड़े अच्छे लेवल पे सामने आया। वो उससे बहुत सारी चीजें आसान हो जाती हैं हिमांशु। जैसे आपने देखा होगा कि जनरल वीके सिंह, वो भी जो दिल में आता था वो बोलते थे, लेकिन कांग्रेस उस समय सरकार में थी और उनको वो पच नहीं रहा था। जब उन्होंने कहा कि देश के पास सिर्फ 10-12 दिन का हथियार बचे हैं अगर जंग होती है तो कांग्रेस बिल्कुल उल्टी उनके ऊपर टूट पड़ी और उन्होंने सेना के जितने भी प्रोक्योरमेंट थे वो रोक दी। तो उससे नुकसान किसको होता है? कांग्रेस को ऐसा लगा कि हम जनरल साहब को रोक रहे हैं, नहीं, आप हिंदुस्तान की पूरी फौज को रोक रहे हो। अरे वो बंदा तो आंखें बता रहा, आपको हकीकत दिखा रहा है। ठीक है, सो दैट्स व्हाट आई वांट टू से, एंड आई होप जनरल रावत को शायद मेरा दिल कहता है कि he will be the 3rd field marshal.
Sure. No, thank you, sir.
Jai Hind, Himanshu.
Jai Hind, sir. And what came out from you was coming straight from heart. So it was not theoretical. So I'm sure I'm seeing few messages also very charged up. So thank you, sir. We have almost come to the end. So one, I wanted to say thank you to everyone, all the both generals, Brigadier Hemant and Major Punya. One last minute, I would request 1 minute each for a winding up comment because we have heard each other. And this, the whole purpose of having this kind of communication, this kind of a session is to ensure that the wider audience, whosoever gets to see this, gets to realize the emotions that we carry, and emotions not only for the worthy that we have won, but also to make sure that the contributive nature that we are thinking, just like Major Punya has made that comment, that a general or a soldier comes from the same society, he is equally a part of the society and can be contributive beyond the uniform. General Shashi indicated he wants to connect with me because he found out that I do something which kind of interests him, and we can be contributive in different spaces. So with that kind of comment, I'm just handing over to General Shashi to begin with for a minute, sir. If you can wind up with your concluding comments, and then I'll pass on to General Vikram and Brigadier Hemant, and then finally to Major Punya.
It's been a very inspiring intersession for the last 1 hour. Every aspect of General Rawat has been brought out. Somebody, as Punya rightly said, that let's hope if we had field marshals after 30 years each, let's hope that General Rawat in future gets that honor, which will very richly deserve. It's very famously said that soldiers are remembered not during their lifetime, but after they pass away. And I'm very sure it is going to happen in case of General Rawat. A very high regard for him, and may God bless him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Over to you, General Vikram, please. Sir, you are unmuted right now. Yeah, unmuted.
Muted.
Yeah, now I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All I can add is that, a personality like General Rawat comes few and far between. And a man who has taking the words from Brigadier Hemant, he has set a stage which we will only understand after 4 or 5 years from now. And all I can say is that we must revere a personality like him. And those of us who don't know him so well or have not had the opportunity to work, don't criticize on issues which you have no knowledge about. His decisions were never public, and his logic and his understanding was never public. So please refrain from making comments on his actions, on him as a person. I mean, he's a person who's idolized by the Army, Navy, Air Force, and I'm sure after what we saw in his last journey, the nation. So God bless him, and God bless the armed forces. That's all I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Over to you, Brigadier Mahajan, please.
We have covered a lot of ground and covered almost every aspect that we could have thought about. What I would sort of request to you is to improve the soft power quotient of people who are in America, because Indians are an important community. They have contributed immensely towards the progress of America. So we need to improve the soft power so that no anti-Indian things, be it Khalistanis, be it Kashmiris, be it other kind of activities which take place, we are able to counter them in a better manner, of course, in a civilized manner. We don't go on the streets. We are very decent people, and we do everything under the law. That is one aspect that I would sort of repeat once again. Secondly, as far as General Rawat's legacy is concerned, it has been covered very well by everybody. And all that I would say is, in due course, the Indian Armed Forces have studied their own leadership. And I remember when we were youngsters, we studied General Thimaiya, General Cariappa, and of course later the Field Marshal, his biography was studied very well as a part of military history. I'm sure his General Bipin Rawat will also fall in the same category, where whatever he did as a part of military history will get recorded in a dispassionate manner, and that will also be studied, because much later you are able to understand things that he did in a more easier manner, because a lot of people, especially in the veteran community and especially some so-called experts, they go by seniority and they feel that whatever they say is right. Well, no, things are changing drastically. We've got to follow innovative methods to defend the nation's interest, etc. And this is what General Rawat did. And one of our foremost expert on military affairs, Chanakya, had spoken about 4 dangers which the country faces. I'll not get into too much of this thing, but since there are a lot of Urdu couplets that were given, I'm also tempted to talk about Chanakya, and I can see General Pitre smiling. It is of course Chanakya who said it, so don't blame me for whatever he said. He said any country has 4 kinds of enemies. An enemy who comes from outside gets help from outside. Second type of an enemy who's comes from outside but gets help from inside. And third type of an enemy is from outside getting help from outside. And the last type of an enemy, which is most deadly, is a person who's inside and who gets help from inside. So when we talk of 2.5 front war, actually to my mind, the half front is more important than the 2 front that we are talking about, because conventional war fighting with China, India is much easier proposition, where the enemy is identified. But that half front which is inside, be the terrorists, be the Nakshals, be it the anti-nationals, be it this thing, they are more dangerous. And that is what hybrid war is all about. When I was looking into news today, I said I must find out what's happening in America, because since you're talking to American people, I suddenly saw a very interesting statement made by the American President Joe Biden. He said the Chinese are using democracy of ours as a weapon, meaning democracy has fault. Democracy, you can say anything and get away with it, and by saying this is the opinion of so-and-so people. While Chinese carry out all kinds of psychological warfare against us, we are not able to do it because we cannot penetrate their media, we cannot penetrate their social media, so they're immune to whatever you and me are saying. So I think hybrid war is going to be the one that is going to be taking a center stage in the days to come, and that is where General Rawat contributed immensely. Let's hope his soul rest in peace, and may the daughters get the strength to bear this loss with fortitude. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir, and thank you so much again for your concluding remarks. Major Punia, sir, over to you for your concluding remarks, and please speak from the heart that you just spoke to with. Looking forward to it, sir. You are muted, sir. You are muted, sir.
Yeah. Abhi says, आवाज आ रही है?
आ रही है, sir. Please.
Yeah, Himanshu, I think our best tribute to the Jan Sahab will be like, as he always used to say, country is above all. तो जो दिल में आता है मुल्क के लिए, वो हमेशा बुलंद होके बोलना है. कभी भी दिल में ये नहीं सोच के नहीं रुकना कि वो लोग क्या कहेंगे, लोग मेरे बारे में मेरी बुराई करेंगे या मेरे को नीचा दिखाएंगे. नहीं, जिनको जो बोलना है बोलने दो, क्योंकि जन साहब के बारे में भी बहुत सारे लोगों ने बोला था और अभी भी शायद कुछ लोगों ने बोला, मतलब कि जब उनकी डेथ हुई, लेकिन क्या फर्क पड़ता है, उन्होंने खुद को एक्सपोज किया. जो जन साहब की जो उनके जो स्टेटमेंट थे, उन्होंने मुल्क को एक किया. तो मेरा ये मानना है कि मुल्क का झंडा ऊपर रहना चाहिए. जो जन साहब ने कहा था वो ऊपर रखना है. जो हमारे शहीद हैं उनके और उनके परिवारों के साथ हमेशा खड़े रहना है. जो जनरल रावत से जब भी बात हुई और जब भी किसी मार्टिर के परिवार से मिले, तो हमेशा उनका यही कहना होता था कि जो मुल्क अपने शहीद के परिवारों का ध्यान नहीं रखता, तो वो फ्यूचर में ऐसे लोगों को पैदा कर देगा कि जिनका अपने मुल्क की फौज के ऊपर बिल्कुल भरोसा नहीं रहेगा. सो जहां भी जाएं, अगर हमारे शहीदों के परिवार मिलते हैं, उनको कुछ नहीं चाहिए, उनको दो मीठे सब चाहिए. आपने सब किया, आपने देखा है. अगर उनसे बैठ के उनके माँ बाप, बच्चे, भाई बहन, उनकी वाइफ से अगर हम 2 मिनट बात कर लें, बस उतना ही उनको चाहिए होता है, ताकि उनके बच्चों को लगे कि मेरे बाप ने, मेरी माँ ने इस देश के लिए जान दी है, तो ये देश हमारे साथ खड़ा है. और जितने भी जो अभी सर ने कहा कि 2.5 फ्रंट वाला वार है, जो आधा फ्रंट है, जो मुल्क के अंदर है, जो इस मुल्क के अंदर ही लोग जिनको फंड कर रहे हैं और इस मुल्क के खिलाफ ही फंड कर रहे हैं और मुल्क के खिलाफ ही वो लोग लड़ रहे हैं, सबसे बड़ी लड़ाई ये है. तो जितने भी आप लोग जो यूएस में बैठे हैं, यूके में हैं, ऑस्ट्रेलिया में हैं, और इस मुल्क के जितने युवा लोग हैं, मेरा उनसे सिर्फ यही अपील है कि आप अपना नॉलेज दुरुस्त रखें, पूरी जानकारी रखें, और जो भी गलत बोल रहे हैं उनको उसी वक्त उन्हीं की लैंग्वेज में, अगर वो इज्जत से लिख रहे हैं, देश की बुराई कर रहे हैं, तो उनको इज्जत से ही उनकी बुराई का सही ढंग से जवाब दीजिए. लेकिन कुछ बदतमीज लोग अगर बदतमीजी से बात कर रहे हैं, तो उनको जिस लैंग्वेज में समझ में आता है उसी लैंग्वेज में उनको एक्सपोज कीजिए, उनको नंगा कीजिए, ताकि देश के अंदर जो नैरेटिव है, कंट्री अबव ऑल, फोर्सेस अबव ऑल, ये हमेशा कायम रहे, ये हमेशा जिंदा रहे. दैट्स all I want to say. And once again, salute to General Rawat, great man, and all the soldiers, all the military personnel and Mrs. Rawat who died in that crash. God bless their soul. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Punya sir.
Okay.
Om Shanti for him. And for all the participants, thank you for staying up early in the morning, India time, and or those who are here late in the night. Sir, all General Pitre, General Brigadier Mahajan, General Vikram, and Punya sir, thank you so much. We appreciate, and we'll keep in touch because we want to make sure that this message of what we stand for and the leadership that we all together can bring to bring our society up is visible to everyone, so that more people can join in. So once again, thank you so much. Looking forward to speak with you again. Have a good evening, good morning to everyone.